Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I always greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. And with that said, hi, Ed, Michelle. This being Easter Sunday, I don't particularly put any um, special meaning to it like I used to did back in the day when I was, involved in the Catholic Church and so forth, and other family members. But and also thinking about that, my grandma that I've talked about many times, Miss Mary. Easter was just special to her. She just liked it. It was, and the idea of, when we were little kids, hiding Easter eggs and having the hunt, and it was just something for them. And I remember it. We couldn't wait to go find the Easter eggs. They'd keep us at church or drive around while Granny and way back when my grandpa was still alive back in the early 60s. They go across the park was right, Rowlett Park was right across the street from where my granny lived. And so they'd go, hide a few in the yard, but then they'd say, okay, now let's all cross the road and go over there to the park. There's some more out there. And we'd go out there, Easter egg hunting. Now, that was way back in the day when nobody thought that it was some kind of satanic ritual or anything like that. It was a time when they could have fun outdoors, and it was springtime. And so, not having it anything to do with any particular religion, because my grandma was very spiritual, but she didn't belong to any religion. But during Easter time was one of those times when she'd say, I'll go to church with y'all. So it meant something to her and to other folks, but that Easter time was just plain fun. Easter was it when, it was the springtime, it was the start, of spring and summer coming up. Not that it really made a difference down there in Florida, it's the same temperature all the time. But anyway, um, but back in those days, it was just for fun. It was to have a new pair of slacks, a pair of pants. Was your Sunday go to meeting, so you might have got a new set of Easter clothes, a new shirt to go to church in, and because I was an altar boy, so, those things made sense. And, it was, we probably had grown out of some of our clothes, 6 months back then when we were children. But the Easter was just fun. Okay. It wasn't about, oh, there's an Easter parade. Yeah. Okay. But we weren't into that. It was more of the Easter bunny, which was funny that he would go and hide eggs for whatever the reason. My granny and them were from the old country. Actually, Grossmutter was from Germany. So my grandma Raleigh was the first generation here, born here in the United States. So she was a lot of German in that respect. But the Grossmutter and the stories that she told and the traditions, and there was something about, whether it was a rabbit or not, it was something about hiding the eggs, and it was just a fun time. So, but anyway, besides that, there are a lot of Christian folks and a lot of other people that consider this day to be a holy day. And I do not wish to disregard anybody in that respect, because this isn't about religion, but it is about what you believe, believe, believe. And so today is a day of belief. Okay. So, and on this day of belief, um, it is something that I think that is just, let's add a little dash of belief in there, for today. Since a lot of folks are having that kind of day, let's just, I want to add my 2 cents in and say, if you believe in humanity, if you believe in helping your neighbor, if you have love in your heart and you try to keep it there, if you work hard to try to be a good person, then continue to believe, believe, believe. There was there is a story of a shaman a shaman at one point had said, listen, there was a drought and everything. So the shaman said, dig a ditch for your crops and do this and do that. And they said, but there's no rain. And the people said, but there's no rain. What do we do? You want us to dig a ditch? You want us to build ponds? There's no rain. And he said that you must believe, believe, believe. Even if you don't really believe, you're gonna, well, I'm gonna dig this ditch. One day it might rain, because we look at every day as this is the last day of our life. And maybe it is for some folk, but I don't mean that in disrespect. Hi, Mr. Delaney. Ed, I said I come from a big family. We used to get together just like Christmas time. Yeah. It was just fun. It was just fun. And for some reason, over the years, it's a pagan holiday, and it's a this, and it's a that. It was just a day to have fun. That was, and it was springtime, and it was an excuse, we're on this day, we're all going to go out, hide a bunch of eggs for whatever reason, because especially for little kids to go out and look for them. It would, as a grown up, I did it with my kids for a while anyway, but during that period of time when there is this joy of, is there one around though? Then they'd give you little hints like, have you looked by the palm tree? Have you looked over by the rose bush? Have you, they would give us these hints, right? So it was a hide and go seek with eggs. They hid the eggs and we had to go seek them. But in all of this stuff, though, it was family. Everybody got together, and we got together a lot anyway. But everybody got a new set of Sunday go to meeting clothes. And for the girls it was a new hat, something like that. And it was just to me, those kinds of days I miss, in the regards to how much joy and pleasure. And it was just, we got around and colored the eggs, so there was this whole big thing about doing the eggs. Oh my God, we would do dozens and dozens. We'd be eating eggs for weeks, up to a point. And how we could design them, and how Granny would help us, and the dipping and the thingy. And it was the whole process of Easter time, whether it had anything to do with any kind of religious thing, that wasn't the point. It was that it was fun. With that said, so in my heart today, I'm thinking of those fun times, and I'm sending them out into the universe, and like, can't we just have fun sometimes without having to rake it over the coals that, somehow, it was an ancient thingy and this and that and blah, blah, blah. We don't participate. How about we just have some fun one day a year without having it being tied to something? Yes, it's Easter and Christ rose from the dead. Okay, but if we just pick the day and say, I'm going to get a dozen eggs, and we're going to color them up, and me and Doug are going to go out in the yard, and maybe I should take bones out in the yard and hide them in places. And, anyway, by the way, to those of you folks who are here, hey, Richard, how are you? I think I might have missed you. Delaney, how are you? I got my cajones together yesterday. And over the last several days, I've been going through my camping stuff, and I got the kayak on the truck. And me and Duggar went to the river yesterday for several hours. And I didn't make it all the way down to the train tracks, which is a good ways. But we did have a really good paddle, and it's the first paddle I've had. And being in the backyard wasn't the same thing as being on the river. and the river was just above 7 feet, and got to see it when the river was a little up, and there were places we could get through. I took pictures and a couple of short videos, and I'm going to upload those. I can't show them to you live here, make commentary at the moment. That might change, but anyway. So we went down on the river, and he did really well. I mean, excellent. He did really well. I'm bragging on you, Duggar. He sat still there in the kayak with me, and I made sure we had to stop because we both had to pee, and found a really nice spot that could be a possible campsite down there, about halfway down, and secluded and all that good stuff, but high enough up on a little ridge, and it's nice and clear up there, and you could put a couple of big tents up there if you really wanted to. But I'm sure somebody owns it, don't know who, but as far as me and Duggar being able to go somewhere, that'd be a nice spot to go rather than just a little piece of a sandbar. But anyway, but so on this day, wasn't really, necessarily going to do a long video. I just wanted to say I'm recuperating from our trip on the river yesterday, with getting all the gear ready. And after several hours on the river of paddling, my shoulders are sore, let me tell you, but it's a good sore, and it was good being on the water. It was good being with the nature. And Duggar, I don't think he barked not once the whole time. And he met children on the beach, and they came over and petted him. And, we got to interact with the folks that were on the bank fishing, and he got to interact with people and wag his tail and get petted, and he could lick somebody else other than me, So in that, the joy of that yesterday, and bringing forth that, good energy from being on the river, and being able to get into places that I hadn't been able to get into before, on the river, because the river, you could tell on the trees where it was this high a day or so ago. And I always check the gauges. And if we were to go back down there today, which I don't think I have enough energy to do, but if we went back down there today, there would be places that we went through yesterday that we would not be able to get through today, because the water will have dropped, and that channels more water into other places that are more free and open. Anyway, so the river changes all the time. I mean, there on the way down there, we played and paddled and went a good ways, and on the way back, I did a little exploration, and we ended up sort of taking a shortcut, but you would not be able to get through there today. So I thought, well, it was a very interesting paddle. And by saying that, though, my understanding of just being with nature, and even though I've been on that river so many times, it's not been at that particular level that I've been in that particular area. So I was able to explore places that are normally, when I'm on the river, that it's about a 6 foot height or less, not a 7 foot. But that 1 foot allowed me to go into places and explore, and to just, there were places I was like, man, I've just never been here before. This is a really cool spot, but you can only get here when the river's at a certain level. Wow, interesting. So in that, in the oldness of me being on that section of the river so many times I've lost count, it is also the fact that even though it's the same old river, with water and things, water changes everything, but the water being higher allowed me to experience these wonderful little nooks and crannies and stuff, at spring, with everything blossoming and all that good energy. And it's like, whew, I feel refreshed even though I'm tired. My shoulders hurt. I am not going to complain. I'm going to go outside here. But before I got to walk out the muscles and everything we did yesterday. But I wanted to send blessings to everyone. I always do. But I'm out on the river yesterday, and feeling the energy of the water, feeling the tempo, and the literally you can see the trees sprouting, and so there's new life. where winter has been here, and all the trees are blossoming. And thank goodness not too many skeeters, but they were about. So, but in all of that, I was sending that energy and joy to y'all. I don't know if anybody felt it yesterday. Like, there's something weird going on today, but yesterday afternoon before sundown, was standing on the shore and getting ready to get back in the kayak. And I just said, in my head, to all y'all out there, I hope you can see this picture. It's calm, it's quiet, the river's running well, and I took a picture of it too. But in that, though, I was hoping that the joy and pleasure that I was experiencing, I was trying to share with y'all in the cosmos. I'm crazy. So let's have some coffee. And I got on at 3:20 so we could do it a 4:20 somewhere, but I just wanted to wish everyone a happy Sunday. If it's Easter in your world, this isn't about what you believe or what somebody else believes. It's about let's just have fun one freaking day of the year without a lot of nonsense. But anyway, that's sort of my, the people that were fishing yesterday. When we went down, there was one group of people, and when we come back, there was a totally separate group of people, and both of them had young kids. At which I was like, and it's a family time, so the people come out to the little park there and went fishing together on Easter Saturday, if you will. And all of those folks, 4:20 somewhere, all of those folks were enjoying nature. They were enjoying the fact that, did you catch any fish? Nah. Do you care? Not really. It was the fact that they were fishing. They had a pole in the water. They were outside. Instead of, they could have just got a lounge chair and just went out there and sat by the water. But folks would look at them and say, "What's sitting there in that lawn chair for? Aren't you fishing?" And for me, I'd just rather sit in the lawn chair, not so much to fish. But they were all fishing because it gives them a reason to stand on the shore versus just enjoying nature. I think fishing is an excuse to get outside, just so you can stand on the bank or get on the water. Well, did you catch anything? No, but did you have a good time? Yeah. So I think fishing is an excuse to get outside. Well, I'm going to go fishing. Yeah, that's the excuse, right? But so whether it's your excuse or not, and nobody that I saw that had been fishing there were catching anything. The water's a little too high at the moment. This is springtime when the fish are trying to bed, and so they're going to be in corners and shallows and places where they bedded before. But anyway, so, but in another week, though, when the water, if we don't get any more rain and the water comes down some more this time of the year when the fish will be spawning, anyway, but to the point though, I don't care what your excuse is. If you want to go take a fishing pole, take a stick and a piece of string and something on the end. It doesn't even have to have bait, and throw it out there, and if the game warden comes by, you just say, "Look, I'm faking it. I'm not even fishing. I felt stupid without a pole sitting on the bank." And they'd go, "What?" Because they can't get you for holding a bobber and a string if there's no hook or bait. So what are you doing? Nothing. I'm just watching that thing bob up and down. And that's the answer. Did I miss any? Hey, Chloe, how are you? And Ian, how are you? Good to see you all this afternoon or this evening, wherever you may be. But anyway, so I didn't want to make this long. I just honestly just wanted to send, if there's any kind of extra blessings that could be shoved out to the universe, I was like that. That's sort of what I'm feeling today. And yeah, there were islands of plastic and things and stuff, but in a lot of ways, the river was really pretty clean. You know, there are still, trees across in places. There are still downed logs and stuff that, you still can't get through in certain areas. But that's the mystery and the maze of the Ochlockonee River, especially when you go upriver. Oh my God, just going through there and trying to pick, I was trying to see how hard it would be to get up to the bridge. And when it's in its banks when it gets to the bridge, okay, at the 19 bridge. And on the other side of it, it goes like this. There literally, at this point, there are several different routes you could go. And you can go so far, and then there's a tree down. And then you got to find another way. You might even have to backtrack a quarter of a mile or something. But hey, Lucky, that's why I need to get 10,000 steps in to ensure I get the conservation area in nature. Richard, I fish and it's an excuse to be in touch with nature and grab some peace and quiet. It's great for the soul. It really is. Hey, Gaza. Yeah, so yesterday, dug I dug out my camera, charged it up. It's sitting around over here, and so uh, I wasn't sure about how much video. And besides that, the river was flowing a little fast for me to just sit and do videos, and I got Duggar in front of me. So what I did was I took pictures in a lot of different places. And so my caption on some of these pictures will be, Duggar's point of view, because you can see the top of his head where I was sitting behind him, right? He's sitting right in front, right between my legs. And for all the 3.5, 4 hours that we were on the river, he was absolutely great. And I'm glad when I turned around, I was listening to Spirit, and it was like, okay, I could go on down. I really wanted to go down to the sandbar to see what 7 foot meant to the sandbar, if it was underwater or whatever. And that's where a lot of folks camp, and I've camped there several times. So, but instead, I made a landing. We was not too far from there, maybe a half a mile, 3/4, but paddling upstream as fast as the river is running right now. I mean, I could handle it; that wasn't the issue, but that was extra effort. Whereas, like today, the flow's down a lot, and so it'd be a lot easier to paddle the same area today, than it was, 24 hours ago. But anyway. But in all of that, though, I was just outside just to breathe the air of the freshness of the trees blooming, And I didn't see any snakes. I saw a few turtles. There was debris high up in the tree because it was at a 16-foot flood stage just about 2 months ago, I guess, when we had a really big flood. But it was up higher than that for several other. It was like 13. Flooded stage is 15 feet. So a lot of places where I was sitting at a 7-foot level, I could say, okay, so 7 more feet above me was flooded, a month and a half ago. And some areas where it was up to 9 feet. So you could see these marks on the trees. And it was interesting in that when the pollen fell, it left rings around the tree, some of the trees. I took pictures of them. So you could literally see where the water level was on the trees. It was really interesting. But in just being there, then in my continual emphasis on the being part, just by being there on the water, and Duggar was so good. I mean, he gets a AAA+, and I bought him. It was a little costly, but I bought him some jerky. And it was his treat, and he was like, "Oh boy, I want some more of that." I'm like, going to have to find it. It's got to be a little cheaper somewhere, but anyway. And giving him a treat for doing such a good job on the river. So this coming weekend, we're supposed to go down the Withlacoochee River, So this weekend was my test run to see how I was doing, since it had been quite a few months since I'd actually been on the river. Scared that Duggar wouldn't want to go with me and he'd be a pain in the butt. And he's heavier. It makes things a little bit more difficult, like doing video and setting things up. We're going to have to do some shucking and jiving about that. But the fact that whether or not Duggar and I could go down the river for 4 or 5 hours and him stick with me and not trying to be jumping out every time. And he was like, I'm going to get in. And I was like, no, you got to wait till I get in. And he's like, but I want to get in. And I'm like, hang on, So teaching him to stay put, just stay right there. Let me get in, get the paddle set, and so he's learning. This we haven't done this too many times. So my accolades to my wonderful dog Duggar is sitting over there. We got to go out for a walk this afternoon. I got to get the stiffness out. Lucky, Chloe, Gaza, yeah. So this is. Dominic, how are you, everybody? It's great to see you this afternoon, and I do mean that. And so I'm gonna upload the pictures, and I'm gonna try that Yahoo Studio thing and try to upload these two little pieces of video. They're like a minute or two long, but it does show us on the river. And so it might not be much fanfare, but I'm going to upload them and and put them out there because that's why I did them. Um, little short 1 or 2 minute clips, of us down there on the river. I'll see about. I'm going to upload the pictures, and I don't know about any music or anything behind it, but it'll be in sync. Um, and of course, there's a time stamp on it down there in the bottom, so that's how I keep up with where were we on the river, where we're going downstream or upstream. Anyway, but it was really pretty, and in 2 months it'll be too hot and too low normally, but right now, oh my God, it is gorgeous. I mean, I don't know if I have the strength to do another round before. I'm hoping we will go down the with Lakuchi next time. But if we don't go down the river, my God bless whoever sent out the healing on my truck. It knock on wood. She went all the way down there to the store, and not a glitch, not a hiccup, not a nothing. So whatever her ailment was might have been having to do with cold, because I've got some very old sensors on the truck. That's 277,000 miles, and the speedometer broke, and can't get the part to fix it. So they don't make them anymore, which is interesting. But wish I had a 3D printing machine. I could make them and sell them to folks who don't, have the part. But anyway. Most of them are nylon or Delron anyway, so I could probably make one in the shop if I had a piece of material. But anyway, having made those kinds of things, but in sticking with the theme of this, though, the river is always in my heart. The water, the nature of things, and so it was good to get back yesterday. And I was like, how long has it been since I've been on the river? Don't know. But here's the thing. The river never left my heart. If anything, because the water was a little higher yesterday than I normally am on the river, I got to see these extra special places. And in the springtime, and I'm like, wow, is this what this looks like when the water's up a little bit? Wow, what if this was normal? Holy mackerel, this would be great instead of it being low all the time. But, it is the nature of things, which is all the things that I've been kind of piling up on this. But being in the nature is in my being, and it is in all of us. So, regardless of where you may not be able to get to now, remember that every place that you have visited is still in your heart. So draw upon that. You say, well, I can't get out in nature. Then draw upon those places you've already been. especially if there's some one place that always sticks out in your mind and it was so special, then focus on that point because it is in you. The nature of our being is being in nature, and the nature is always in our being. I know that sounds redundant, but as I was out there on the water, I'm talking to Duggar a little bit like, man, ain't this beautiful? You're such a good dog. And but just being in the quiet, and it was exceptionally quiet yesterday on the river. There's, where we were at, there are roads and traffic and stuff like that. And so there are ambient kind of horn honks or something like that. The section we were on is not deep in the swamp. But there wasn't any of that. Very, very little, even when we were up close to the bridge. Um, you could hear the odd truck or car go by, but it wasn't really noisy like it used to be. So, but in the quietness of it all, I was like, wow, that's really interesting. It's really quiet today for a Saturday, and the noise level and things, and interesting. So, but by having our awareness always open, regardless of what the situation, because of many times I've been in certain places, it was different yesterday. For whatever the feeling, whatever the mood, whether it was the water, whether it was springtime, it felt better. It just felt extra better. So on this Easter day, regardless of religion or creed or understanding, I just want to send out those wishes from the water. And as the swamp is blooming, and not just the swamp, but things are blooming, keep that in your heart, because every day out here on my property, there are different times a year that different plants will grow. So I've got a lot of these leafy things around, right? Some burdock and things like that, where in the summertime they're dead. So it's only in the fall or spring that some of these, plants will flower, and then they'll die off for the summer. And I don't do anything, I don't plant anything like that. But, as I watch the field and I watch the woods, there is a transition literally over weeks, months, where this will grow and then it'll die out. And you go, well, what happened to that? Next year, boom, up they come. So, and there are surprises everywhere at all times. So, nature shows us that every single moment of every single day, there are changes, there are things that go dormant and then will come back up later on. It's their time. And when we simply understand those simple, natural things within us, we believe, we believe, we believe, we believe we're always in touch. And it's always in touch with you. So please, in this, don't forget it. You know, I know during the days and things and humdrum and life and kids screaming and stuff, you have a tendency to like just, it'll distract the crap out of you. But when you understand and say, wow, man, the kid's really on my nerves, where's that river? Where's that thought about the calmness of the river or a mountain or the ocean, whatever that picture is for you? So when, hey, Dominic, hey, David, never null and void. Oh, I'm null and void quite often, especially in my latter years. But in that void of things, though, I think that I'm in the void of nature. It's I keep up, I look at the news and I listen to stuff I really don't want to. And everything brings me back to the nature of things. And oh, by the way, um, Dominic says, I'm able to go back to nature after surgery and walk and ride the trail. Great. Yeah, I believe that most folks are doing astral travel, and I think here recently, and I've had a lot of brain injuries. I mean, I've seriously have been knocked in the head 25 times, really bad. That's knocked me out, has caused me to go to hospital. And um, so I'm very lucky to even be able to walk, talk, and sometimes I can't do both at the same time. But every day's no matter how bad it is, I woke up earlier today and I was like, holy crap, it's going to be one of those I can't move days. And I was like, oh no, we're not going into that mindset. I immediately changed that thought and went, yeah, but look at the ride we had yesterday, and look at what Duggar and look how and the pictures we took, and I said, okay, so you have sore muscles. Come on, let's get up. Let's go make coffee. Let's let the dog out. I don't know if I can play kickball with him yet, but hi, Cherry. Yeah, I have neurological issues going on too. And uh, it's like, in my confused mind over the last 4 or 5 years and how badly my house and my property and everything it got, I allowed it to get so bad. And then having folks move in and then them leaving all their stuff behind, and holy crap. So I've been dealing with a lot of other people's stuff, and finding my own. But in it, I'm finding that how did I let this happen? And then I can't complain about it. But yeah, well, you were unconscious for damn near a year. You were drooling and slobbering and oh yeah, I don't really want to remember those times, but oh yeah, that's right. Why didn't I do anything? I couldn't. I was slobbering all the time, and not necessarily in a good way, right? If there's a good way of slobbering. I think slobbering, if you've got a really good something in your mouth and you're just like drooling, that's allowable. But the idea, though, that um, regardless of the day, I still believe that even after I get done chatting with you all here this afternoon, and honestly, I wish you all the best. If I could push this energy out there, which I am, I hope y'all are getting it because you know, um, I've talked about miracles before with myself and the cause and effect. And it's like after going to the river yesterday and holding the paddle for 4.5 hours, I'm not quite sure on the time, but it's about 4 hours. My hands used to be all drawn up and crinkly. And I've talked about this before, but I stopped drinking plastic, anything out of plastic, unless necessary. Um, But the idea, though, that my arthritis, even now that I'm older, I was worse off years ago. My knee was broken back in 1966, 67. And I wasn't able to bend my leg. I'm able to bend my leg more now at 68 and a half than I did back when I was 14, 15 years old when it happened. Um, it happened when I was 14 and I had my birthday in the hospital that year. Um, and that was painful, let me tell you. But anyway, but the fact that I can still walk, the fact that I say screw it, I might not be able to go, the Appalachian Trail, but I can walk around the yard. Me and Doug go down in the woods, and he was like, "Let's go up the trail here," and I was like, "Nah, I just got out to pee," and then I stopped and thought, "No, let's walk." I need to walk, and we found this really cool place up this trail and around the bank. Beautiful little spot to have a little campsite if you just wanted to sit up there. And oh my god, it's beautiful back there, old pines and oaks, and up on the ridge where the river kind of backflows into this spot, really really nice. And so if I hadn't taken that little walk with the dog, with my brother, um we wouldn't have found that spot. Even if I'd ever go there, I got it here. I got that beautiful spot in my head because we stopped there and, had a special moment. Sandra, how are you? Have I missed anybody? I'd rather drink out of a glass pickle jar. Yeah, I've turned to stainless steel a lot because it's just so easy to clean. And, you can toss it around, lay in the yard for a year, and you can go out, clean it up, um, and you can take a wire brush to it if you think you haven't gotten. I got a brass wire brush. If something, I'll just, give them a good wire brushing every once in a while. But anyway, um, the idea though that for me, I made the decision because of the plastic I saw in the river. So if I was one person less that used plastic, and I've got too many aluminum cans around my place now, one of these days. And my idea was that I was going to, and I would still like to, but, and I have a cast iron oven out here in the back that I was going to hook up and turn into a kiln of sorts. And so that I could melt uh, aluminum. So I was going to all the aluminum that I've collected, which is becoming an eyesore and a pain in the ass because every container that I put them in has somehow failed or whatever. So I'm continuously picking up cans from places that used to be stored anyway. And I won't throw them away because they're worth something and the price of aluminum has gone up. But the idea, though, that regardless of whether or not it's in my way, it's still aluminum, So I wanted to be able to make castings, my own sand cast, because I've done that sort of thing back in my younger days. And so I would love to be able to, have a furnace that I could also cook some pottery in. Not anything special, but old native ways in a way, and use the fire and the bellows. And but anyway, so I've got these are things in my head that I still would like to do, but at the moment they're a pain in the neck. But I still believe. People say, "Why don't you clean up those aluminum cans?" Because I believe, I believe. One of these days, I'm going to use those things to make metal castings. My own design kind of thing. Or maybe there's a part that broke around here, and I could make a casting of it and make a new part from it. I used to be able to do that sort of thing. I used to do. So, but anyway, but in this belief of things, there are sometimes I look at stuff and go, I believe that has to go. So I believe in other ways too, in that it was silly for me to hold on to this object because I saw this potential. I believe now that some of these things have outlived their potential. And I believe that they should go on and get recycled someplace, other than in my yard or around here. But in bringing back to my being of nature, I felt guilty going to the river because I got all these projects that I've been working on and having success, mind you. But I was like, yeah, but I believe I need to go to the river for the energy. And, I needed an excuse. Well, if we go down to the river next week, me and Duggar haven't really, kayaked, and that's a good excuse. Did I need an excuse? Apparently I did. And then I finally looked outside with the kayak on the truck as I am right now, and I go, I didn't need an excuse. I just needed to go. We just needed to go. So my fear of Duggar being a problem with the kayak is over now because he did such a wonderful job. So it's more kayaking for us because that fear is out of me. And I know we can stop at places and he's learning to understand he just can't run off. He's going to have to stay on a leash and he's going to, he needs to slow down with me because he's a lot faster and I'm a lot older. And so, but we're getting in that niche if you will, with me and the four-legged. So, but anyway, and he also, like, I want to go, and I go, but I don't. So I compromised with him. No, we're not going to go any more than here, but I'll go with you down to this point. But like I said, we found this beautiful spot high up on the bank overlooking the river, and just nothing around, no sounds, no nothing, and not really that far down river. So it's like, for us it wouldn't be that hard to get there. Nice little secluded place to pull in, and and get out, and pull the kayak up, and easy access to the up there to the top of the bank, just so if I hadn't have stopped with the dog, we would have missed it. So for every turn, twist, and I'd gotten out there before, but I hadn't walked up the hill. But the dog wanted me to. So I'm like, let's go check it out. I might have walked up to the top of the ridge right there, but I would not have walked down the trail and down around the bank. And then we found these other really cool things. So in our adventure of every day, you never know what's right around the corner. That's my point about this. Wasn't looking for anything, was just kind of walking and observing. And then I went, oh, holy crap, look over there on the bank. Ain't that special? The trees, the feeling, the view, just the spot. And I was like, man, just to have me a little fire up here and me and the dog and maybe the hammock, there's almost enough space for a small pup tent. But I was like, I think I'd just rather just, if it was a good night, we could just sleep out under the stars and not even really need a tent. Used to do that back in the day. And not being drunk, but do it on purpose. Just, lay a bag out and, um, go for it. Many times I've just stopped and laid on the ground and just slept right there. A lot of people wouldn't do that. I know I'm crazy, but in the nature of things, I still remember some of those times. They are in me. And so when I go back to the river and I go back to the land and I go back to and sit on the ground in a place that I hadn't been before and feel the natural energy that's there without looking for it, I found it and was like, wow, this is one of them peaceful spots. So there's good energy, and sometimes we just need the dog lead us, over here to see what might be over there. Instead of being my grumpy self and go, I don't want to walk up there, but I'm sore today in a good way. But, to that point though, what a lovely memory to be able to share, and I'll put the pictures and everything up later. But my friends, it's too nice outside to be sitting here yakking with y'all, but I love it. I do. So be safe, okay? Um, and down on the river yesterday, my prayers were with you all. And if I could not recall you all by name, it was everybody that was in this group. Here are the prayers. So my continuation on this day, for whatever it may mean to you, hopefully it's just happy. Let's keep the happiness going because it stays with us if we allow it to. I talk about my granny Raleigh all the time, but she's always in my heart in that respect. So in those times of what if or whatever, I would go, what would grandma do? What would grandma think? What would grandma do? And the first thing she'd say, just calm down, and, just take a deep breath and let's look at the situation. So, for whatever it is for us, from me to you, just keep that peace. And remember, just, if what would grandma do? Now, your grandma might not, my grandma, no, I would not even discuss her because what she did was, but my grandma Raleigh, what would grandma do? It's still in my eyes. She was, a saint. She was an angel in her own right. And I've met lots of folks, but hey, Lucky, thank you all. Amanda, you're welcome. I'm sorry, not just saying hi. That's okay. You don't have to participate all the time. 10 cents a can, recycling. Yep. So anyway, just want to pass it along. And if y'all nag me and ask me where are the pictures in the video, I will get her done. Okay. But I love you all. Happy Sunday. Happy day. Let's remember we can keep this in our hearts all the time. And yes, it can fluctuate and it should fluctuate because that's the natural order of things. I looked at the Schumann resonance earlier before I got on here, and it's really quiet. So, if whatever that calmness is going on right now, it's just okay. Is it synchronicity or I don't know? But I know that I'm not over agitated and feeling closer to the nature and understanding the nature of being. Now, I understand it probably in ways that other folks might not quite get. And, that it's in the quietude, and it's in that void. Okay, I'm the null and void. It's that void, between the spiritual and the physical and the thing. And it's like today when I put my hands together, I can actually feel the energy between my hands where normally, you know so I can feel a pulsating of energy in my hands. And where sometimes it's just my hands are together. So I feel like we're channeling the universe. And not that that's what I'm thinking, mind you. I'm not thinking of channeling or doing, producing. It just is. So when we allow ourselves to just be, I overuse it, I know, but um, being in the nature of things, it's just wonderful. And it never leaves you. That's my backup. Yeah. So here's the thing about, and Cherry, I'm going to use you for an example if you have to work on the energy, then you're working too hard. Why do I say that? Because the work is that you have to stop working and you just have to allow it to happen. You must allow it. So, but I know what you say, I got to work on that. But if you have to really honestly work on it, the work is to stop working, is to just allow it to be your nature. I know it's redundant, it goes around and around in circles. But that's one of the things that I think back to the old wise ancient ones that I have met and spoke with. And they all give the same kind of wisdom that I'm yakking to you about right now. And it's like, and I don't mean this for myself that I'm just yakety yak and don't talk back. That's an old song, right? Yakety yak, don't talk back. Yakety yak, yakety yak. Hey, Elderberry. Hi there. Oh, and Tanya, how are you? Absolutely believe, believe, believe. And so, when I say believe, 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 I'm hoping that, regardless of your religion, and it doesn't matter, or non religion, it doesn't matter. But do you believe in your heart that, good should overcome evil in some way, shape, or form? We might not look like we're winning right now, but, do we believe that we continue to fight for the right of goodness versus badness? I say, yeah, we seek to, have love in our hearts. And so regardless of any religion or any belief, is do you believe these things in you? And or do you strive daily to be at least as good as you are at this moment? And in other words, no backsliding, right? But there are times when I've backslid a time or two, and the thing is that I realized I was going down that hill. The mud got slippery, and that I realized that and said, then why am I just allowing myself to slide? Because you get lazy. Let's just put it mildly. You get lazy, and cosmic rays will make you feel itchy and goofy and out of your freaking skull at times, and we don't know why. So what used to blow my mind a lot, and then I learned about Schumann and other things, which we talk about quite frequently. There are times when I want to shake my finger at the Schumann, not that it has anything to do with it, but that the resonance that the earth is showing, and how it's being recorded, makes me go, well, it's sort of like looking at my biorhythm chart. So that's why I was so antsy the other day. It's not because I'm crazy. It's not because I'm bipolar. It's because I'm very sensitive to the nature of things. And that's been my I want to use the word excuse, but that is not the right word. That is cause and effect. That's who I am, right? And so I've always been this way. So when I thought I was going crazy and nuts and all these things, I was just feeling emotions from the universe, if you will, and not understanding that I could allow or deny all these things to affect me. So, what's really important, I tell the universe, warn me if something really crappy is coming up. But I really don't want to listen to all the little chatter. I don't want to listen to Bill's problem with, I don't, I mean, personally, if Bill needs my help and he calls, okay. But from a standpoint that, if there was this one entity that listened to all the bullshit on this planet, they would go nuts if they weren't nuts already, because they're all this disharmony, right? So, but anyway, uh, not trying to poke fun at anybody's religion, but the man upstairs would just be, bazillion. You got to have a day like Easter. Well, everybody will calm the F down. Okay. So he was like, all right, everybody, well, I'm going to create the holiday of Easter just because I need a day off, from all y'all complaining all the time. Just have a day of thanks, and it have nothing to do with, Christmas or, but just a day. But anyway, um, yeah, God probably feels that way. Cosmic rays are more intense too. Yep, elderberry. Tanya, put out the dog and bring in the cat. Actually, it's something very interesting today was outside, and I go in and out with the dog all the time. So out earlier, and the cats weren't anywhere to be. They're normally prowling around the yard here next to the house. And but the last time we went out, the cats come out from somewhere up the hill a ways, and the little cat who Duggar used to chase and still like jumps at. And I don't think the cat understands. He just wants to play, not hurt it. But she's like going under his legs and rubbing all over him, and he's sniffing and allowing it. Where a year ago, I couldn't get him to stop from chasing them. And so now there is this symbiosis simply by just being in the same area and going, look, don't kill that, don't kill that, don't chase it, you stop it. And so now they're buddies. And even who I call Mama Kitty, the older of the two cats, she's even walking around him and stuff. And, and he's like, doing this different thing. I think she had babies, but I don't know where they are. She's lost a lot of weight and her nipples are hard, but that sounds weird. But anyway, from a cat's point of view, so like she's been feeding. And so I think that's why she's been hiding and not coming out, is because she might have one, two, maybe three youngins somewhere. But anyway, but in the idea, though, in the nature of things, even a dog and a cat can learn, under the right circumstances, to not try to, kill each other, or run from one another, or, be offended. And so, in a way, that is against nature, or is it? You've seen lions sitting out in Africa, and there are, bunches of gazelles or, animals around. None of them are running, right? But there's a time when they know that the lion is hungry. Through a growl, through a something. If he's just sitting there minding his own business, they're not running from the lion. So the lion is not always a danger, If um, regardless of the snake, if it's just recently eaten, it's very vulnerable. So are snakes always dangerous? No. Could they? Yes. Are they? No. Are all things so? And depending on the circumstance, not all dangerous critters are dangerous. It's the situation. Could they be dangerous? Yes. Could a tarantula bite you? Yeah. Could a black widow bite you? Yes. Could you get bit? All those answers are yes to could you, but would you, will you, not if you're aware of the nature of things. But anyway, so we look at, some people look at all the dangers in the universe when they're always there. There's still snakes, there's still mosquitoes, but there are ways that you can treat certain situations. And, if there are a lot of skeeters, then dress appropriately or don't go. Um, but the dangers of life are always going to be there. And it's how we see it, how we understand it, how we change our point of view. Is it a danger? Oh, danger, danger. Yeah, well, there's a hole over there. Well, I'm not, I might want to be curious and look over the edge, but I'm smart enough to know don't get too close. And, if there's men working, then I'm not going to bother them. I'm going to be polite. I mean, but danger, danger, Will Robinson, there's a hole. Well, I found a couple of holes when we were walking along, and I thought, strange indentations in the land, just saying, with cans and bottles and stuff in them up at that clearing that we found. And thinking, all around there's where these indentations are and how they're beveled down is just really odd. I have no idea why or what, but it's really odd. It's almost like they've been dug out. And somebody's had a fire there, but there are bottles and things, old bottles and things that are down in the bottom of these holes. And, yay deep, kind of thing. But the idea, though, that there's oddities everywhere where everything else looked perfectly natural. But these two little, maybe there was three of them, little indentations along there. And the river doesn't rise that high enough to be able to make these swirls the way they are. So, there are interesting things if you are aware of what they look like and what the nature around you is. So, and I'm using my river experience yesterday as just this is the most recent thing. But the observation of your surroundings. So no matter where you are, the concrete jungle, for gosh sakes. I've lived in the city. I lived in Tampa, grew up there, all that kind of stuff. I get it, and I hate going back down there because it's just nuts. I don't see how anybody could live in those conditions, but y'all do, and I get it. So, but even when I'm down there, I always keep the nature of things with me, regardless of where I am or the situation. And it was just really nice yesterday to be out there on the water and doing and that kind of thing. So I hope that everybody continues to have a great day. All you heard was hard nips on the cat because she had some kitties and she's got them hid somewhere. She was pregnant a month ago and now she ain't. So, and I think actually she was having one right in front of me outside. And then when I was doing something and I was like, is she having a baby right here at the front at the door? And Duggar and I were in the middle of doing something, and I went back a few minutes later, and she and whatever it was gone. And so, and she's not pregnant anymore. So, um, anyway, I'm just assuming, I'm if a little kitty come, I haven't heard any little mews coming from anywhere, and I think Duggar would have um heard him by now. He goes over to certain places over here by the shed, and but I would have heard it by now, I think. So I don't know if she's really, if her she might only have one. Who knows? But and not being cruel, I'm not being cruel. I used to have 25 cats around here. The population got really bad, and I don't try to save little kittens anymore. I just don't. Oh, look, there's a little kitten. Let's save it. No, I just say nature. Now, if it's laying out there and meowing and mommy ain't coming, I don't let it suffer, but I'm not looking for the kitty to save it. I've learned I have to just let nature take care of itself. You know, I had a favorite kitty one time. I mean, it was like, it might have been last spring. No, 2 years ago now. Oh man, it was beautiful. It like crawling up on me and stuff. And I was really thinking about making it an indoor cat. And as soon as I had that thought, the next day there was no more cat. It just disappeared. Now we've got snakes, there are hawks, there are owls. No idea where the cat went, but it ain't here no more. So out of all the kittens and cats that have been born, there's only two that are still left, and I just don't want to push the luck. If another one survives, okay, but I'm not gonna. I ain't for it or against it. I'm just let the nature of things happen. But anyway, it's been an hour, my friends. It's been great to see many of you here. All of, not many of you, but I mean all of you. The many of you that have showed up to chat today. Thank you. This was just supposed to be a 15-minute. I love you. Keep up the good work. Smile. And exchange the energy. If there's any way you can feel the energy that I'm trying to, you know, that I'm exuding at the moment, I guess you could say. I'm hoping that you can pick it up. Hey, Jody, how are you? Elderberry, Cherry. And thankful for a warm bed, and I can grow food or work with what's available. Nothing fancy, and don't waste anything. Cherry, you're right on the money right there. Absolutely. We should always be grateful, if it's a piece of bread, be grateful, in times of, where I was, hadn't had a decent meal in days, and we were literally robbing the neighbors' chickens, and, just hungry. Now I've been down on the river, and I, have not had much to eat and stuff, but back in the day when we hadn't had anything to eat, it wasn't our fault. It was just the times and the things we would do just for a meal of something. I mean, I I was a fond dumpster diver back then. That's why I got too much shit in my yard still. But it's as much as I complain about my yard, it is a mess. And anybody who might show up and want to visit, you're welcome to. But I got a mess. Still, it's much better. And if you could believe that it's better than what it is, oh my God, it was worse. But it wasn't my fault, it had to do with my injuries. But here's the thing, I haven't given up. I'm still working on it. So I believe that I'm still going to get rid of this stuff. I believe that I'm going to clean it up. I believe I'm going to get my shed built out here because I'm uncovering wood. Every day is a step in that direction, if you believe it. So build it, they will come. Clean it up, and then you can build, is my motto at the moment. But anyway, but every day is a different day. Every second of life is another moment in time. So what we create with it, and not necessarily manifest, I hate using that word. What we create in our minds and we follow through with the universe, um, it's what we create, you know. I carve things and I create them. I don't manifest them. I have, planted gardens and I created the garden. I didn't manifest it. This word of manifest has gotten out of hand, is my 2 cents worth on that. Stop using the word manifest and use the word create. I decided to create a better reality for myself. Verse 2, manifest. That is in a different realm altogether. Keep it to the creation, because that's what it is. We create our next future. We create what we wish in the future, if things will allow it, and time and circumstances. But anyway, so my 2 cents at the end of this. Amanda, Elderberry, everybody that showed up, Ian, Jody, as always. I love you all. I do. Have a great day. I'm going to go outside and have the dog walk me down in the woods. I need to get these cramps out of my back, and I'm sitting here on this chair and my back's going, get up. So, but anyway, um, it's 4:20 somewhere. Richard, thank you very much. Delaney, as always, we love you. We do. Everybody, keep up the good work and keep loving your heart, And to remember, now I have to work on cleaning up around here outside. But if you have to work at your spirituality, and if you use the word work all the time, you'll always work for it. It will be work. Okay. So words are very important in how we convince ourselves that we're not stupid in the universe, that we are nature, and that this energy is all around us. So we work at the idea of getting rid of our false impressions of reality, but we allow our spirit to just be. I know it sounds simple, but you don't have to work at it. Working at it makes it work. It makes it, you convince your mind that it's hard to do, that I must work at it. You could work at all kinds of stuff. I could work at cleaning up my yard, which is what I'm going to go outside and do this evening a little bit. Or I can allow my spirit to just be its natural self, and I can work at everything else. Just keep that in mind, because for every time somebody wants to use a word or phrase or something, if you're convinced that you're manifesting, how about just keep it simple and use the word create. I wish to create a better tomorrow. Thank you. Me too. And all of you do as well. Uh, thank you, Elderberry, Richard. Thank you, Pearly Jones. I love you, my sister of a different mother. Y'all have a great day. Cheers, everybody. And as always, I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. Every day that I put my feet on the ground and me and Duggar go for a walk, I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all them folks you might know or come in contact with, will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe and the blessings. And so, in that law of three, which is just tickles me, I always pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue on your journey to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe, and that you continue to share what you know. You continue to share your love and your friendship with others as you do here in the chat room. So, all you members of the League of Like Minded Beings, which we all are a part of, and all y'all from the Soul Tribe, from my heart to yours, have a great afternoon. Me and Doug are going to walk down to the campsite and see how things are going. If it's not too windy, might even have a fire. So I'm going to try to get those pictures uploaded. We'll see how things go. So we love you. We love you. Do Duggar sends his love as well. TTFN. Ta-ta for now from South Georgia. Ween. Thank you, Bob. We don't forget you out there. No, we don't. And keep it between the ditches, my friends.